Greetings, Brian here. Welcome to my home. Good to have you back. I wanted to take some time in this video to go over some questions I received in reference to my last video where I gave a little walk around of my DIY camper van here. My apologies, I tend to forget to include things that I want to include in videos. It just takes me so many takes to get a final product. I'm not good at making these videos or being in front of camera. It's extremely challenging for me. I've been at it for a few years and it's still just as difficult as day one. So I tend to have to take many takes to get through it without stumbling over my words or just not making sense. So I'm going to do my best to include everything that I intended to originally. So starting right off, give a quick glance at the camper van here in case you missed the last video. Very small space, 10 foot by 6 foot. But I crammed a lot in here. This is the power setup here, my desk, my kitchen area. And what I forgot to include was the fridge down below the desk. This is a 12-volt fridge. It's actually running right now. We'll see if you can hear it. It's fairly quiet, but in the middle of the night when it kicks on, it sounds a lot louder. But during the day, it's not bad. So I just have this on furniture slides, little felt pucks that allow it to slide along the floor there. It works really good. I was going to do like a drawer setup here, but that would have just added a lot more weight and complicated things. So this is just so simple and effective that I just went with it. So again, this is the Dometic CF18. Big shout out to my buddy Dwayne who hooked me up with this fridge. This is actually the fridge I started out with 8 years ago on my first camper van, and I upgraded to a bigger one and decided on this setup I wanted to go back to the original small one. It's just a good solid fridge and it's got enough space to suit my needs. One of the items that I've been using all along are these little plastic egg carriers. You can fit a dozen eggs in there and it keeps them protected, and the shape of it fits perfectly in this fridge. I can put it up on its side as opposed to using what eggs come in, you know, that long thing. So yeah, this fridge has been a good deal for me. You can turn it down and use it as a freezer, but I use it as a fridge. You can't do both. It's got to be a freezer or a fridge, and I'm going with the fridge. So that's that there. The other question I've got is about my internet. So I'll talk about that here. I've got my little jetpack up in the window. Okay, so the question I get often that I always forget to address is what do I do for internet? And of course I have a cell phone that has a data plan on it. I use Verizon and it tends to get the best service all around traveling on the road. In a lot of remote areas, I've had other services in the past and they were kind of lacking. Verizon seems to still be on top as far as coverage. So for data, I can't access the internet through my phone. I can actually tether or hotspot my laptop to my phone and use the data there. I believe I have 20 gigs on my plan on my phone. But then I also have this Jetpack that has its own plan as well. This is also through Verizon. Jetpack is just this little battery-powered rechargeable unit. And this one has antenna ports in it, which comes in really handy. You can plug in, this is called a MIMO antenna. MIMO stands for multi-in, multi-out. It's got these holes here where you can put in suction cups, stick it to a window, and this antenna really works well. It's non-powered, so you don't have to plug it into anything else. Once the Jetpack is on, you can plug in this antenna, and oftentimes it gives at least a couple more bars. I've used powered boosters in the past, like WeBoost, and those units usually get really hot, and of course they use power as well. And I found that performance-wise, the MIMO antenna just gives me a better signal, better upload speeds, so that's what I use for internet. This is I believe a 30 gig plan, which they say is unlimited, but you know, technically after you hit the 30 gigs, it can be throttled back, which I have never reached the 30 gig limit, so I don't know how bad it throttles back. So that's my internet. All right, so the other thing I wanted to show is my swing table. It's a little swinging table that I can mount on the corner of my bed. And I've showed it once before, but I really didn't show how I made it or how it actually works. I store it right here. This is just one piece of it. It's 3/4 inch galvanized pipe. And then the other piece of it goes behind my coat rack there, stores nicely out of the way. And this is the tabletop. And then the other portion of it is permanently or affixed to the side of my bed using these pipe clamps here. and this PVC pipe. This is kind of a rigid version of PVC. It's a lot thicker than some other PVC pipe. And I use 3 straps to strap it to the side of the bed there, and then put a cap at the bottom so the galvanized pipe going into it doesn't mar up my flooring there. This really is a pretty simple setup here. I just took a nice piece of 3/4 inch plywood, used shellac to coat it with, so it's got a nice finish to it. Easy to clean. And then on the bottom of it, the trick was to find the right length screw to be able to screw this flange, this 3/4 inch threaded flange mount here, so that the screws did not protrude through the other side. And then it's just really simple. I mean, it's basically, as far as the pipe pieces goes, we've got 1 piece here, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. 2 pieces of pipe, the flange, and then 2 90-degree angle fittings. Now these fittings are slightly different. We've got the female to female threaded 90-degree there, and then on the end, this is the female threaded to male threaded on this end, 90-degree. And then I just assemble it just like you see here. This is the longer length here. I have this duct tape on it because when I put it into this holder here, as you'll see, it keeps it nice and snug, and I built that tape up so it just has a little bit of resistance so it doesn't want to swing on its own. Okay, so I'll set this up real quick. It's pretty simple. You'll be able to see how it works. I just take this end of the pipe here, slide it right into that PVC pipe. Fits nice and snugly. As you can see, that PVC pipe is slightly bigger than the galvanized pipe, but when you get down to that tape that I put on it, it fits nice and snug. And then it has just a little bit of resistance. It can swing freely, but you can see it stops on its own without just swinging around. Could probably build that tape up just a little bit more so it's even a little tighter so you don't have any accidental movement. Then I usually set it up just like this. I'm going to switch cameras so you can see. I need 2 hands. And I just basically screw the tabletop onto this piece here. Okay, so the setup is pretty simple. I found it's easier to thread this on while the pipe is in the holder here. So I just kind of reach under, feel where the threads are, line it up, make sure it's nice and even. And those are coarse enough threads that they catch real easy. And then just kind of give it a spin around like this till it bottoms out. Once it tightens up there, I'll back it off a little bit. That allows me to have the swing movement on this end as well as swinging the whole thing itself. So you've got 2 ranges of motion here, swinging back and forth like this, and then the ability to swing this top portion around. The whole key to having the top portion swing around and it actually have a benefit is to offset that bottom flange. So that flange is mounted right about here in the table. It's off center about halfway to the other edge there. So when I have it swung this way, you get more table protruding out on this side. If I were to just spin it around, I'm keeping my finger right on where that flange mount is. Now the flange is over on this end. I've got more table protruding back towards the back of the van. So you can kind of use that to your advantage depending on what you're using the tabletop for. So I'll sit down. If I sit, I usually have my pillow behind me here. If I sit like this on my couch, I can bring this table over and it's kind of just coming halfway to me. So if I spin it around, now the table is completely in front of me, if not hanging over a little bit. So it has a nice benefit to it in that sense, and I don't use this table all the time, but I'm glad I do have it and that I made it. I can also swing it over. It goes in front of my kitchen counter. I can angle it in such a way to where it acts like a second surface for food prep. Comes in really handy for that. I could also swing it towards the back door. If I needed something with my back door open, I could reach in and have it right on this tabletop. I've also used it for when my bed is out and I'm laying in bed. I can put my iPad on this table and watch movies. So it's kind of multi-purpose. Again, I don't use it all the time. That's why it's not set up all the time. But when I do want to use it, it's nice to have. So it's real easy to make, pretty cheap. I think all in all, probably cost me about $50, including the wood, all the fittings and everything. So that's my DIY swing table. It's also really easy to break down. Just do the whole thing in reverse. Spin it around. Try to hold it level so you don't mess the threads up as it gets towards the end there. Takes quite a few spins, as you can see. But when it finally does release, I can slide that right behind my coats. It stays in there nicely. And then I just pull this pipe out. I could actually probably swing this around and it would be out of the way, but I tend to just slide it in. It catches on my top back shelf here, so it's pretty out of the way. Works out really good. Glad I made that, and it's just a great addition to the van. Well, that's it for this video. I'm going to keep this one short and wrap it up right here. I appreciate you guys checking in. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you're doing well out there. Take care. Peace.